Ever since I decided I was going to make opinion-based content every now and again, it seems the world just blew up and exploded into absurdity. This time, it comes from one of Matt Santoro's newest videos. I know what you're thinking. Rob, that guy makes absurd shit all the time. The dude is bald, for crying out loud. But no, I don't mean the video itself. I mean the comments he's getting on the video. Matt's newest video is on 10 bizarre diseases science can't explain, and right from the thumbnail, people have had a massive problem. Some people are even unsubscribing and telling Matt in the comments that they're unsubscribing, because YouTubers totally give a shit about that kind of a thing, you know. Now, some people are upset that Matt didn't somehow warn them about his thumbnail before they saw the thumbnail. Not sure how that works, but there is a simple solution to some of those people. Either censor the image or censor the video as a whole. Now, I want to warn you, I'm about to show the thumbnail that has rocked the very foundations of YouTube. If you have a genuine phobia for patterns of small holes, you may want to avert your gaze for a few seconds. Initiate trigger warning protocol code red DEFCON 5. Okay. Alright. And here it comes. Bam! There it is. As you can see, Matt photoshopped some nasty looking holes on his face. Okay, it's gone. You can look again. Now, people have been commenting, unsubscribing, tweeting, posting, messaging, furiously masturbating, emailing, and probably even writing him a handwritten note because they claim to have trypophobia. The phobia that everyone seems to have, but barely anyone can spell, which is defined as an irrational fear of irregular patterns or clusters of small holes or bumps. This may seem like an absurd thing to be afraid of, but really, phobias are irrational in nature, and because they're a mental condition, they can't really be controlled by those who are affected by them. Trypophobia is a bit more special than your typical phobia. It's a stronghold in internet culture now, and I know just me saying that has pissed off a number of people who think they have trypophobia, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm almost positive you don't. Sure, there are a few people out there who manage to get themselves into actual phobic territory, but in recent years, people have begun to equate being scared, disturbed, or grossed out by something with an actual diagnosable phobia. And that's where we can begin. At the diagnosis. The internet has allowed people to go to all sorts of lengths to justify their own mental conditions, many of which are fabricated by the person themselves. Self-diagnosing has become incredibly popular. No more need to visit your pesky psychiatrist, no more sitting in dirty waiting rooms, nope. Now, with the power of your own mind and maybe a few posts on Tumblr, you too can have a fully certified mental condition. So many people believe we should treat mental conditions with the same weight as physical conditions, like schizophrenia versus cancer. Just because it's mental doesn't make it any less bad, to which I can mostly agree. But you'd never think to self-diagnose yourself for cancer. A diagnosis provides a person with immense amounts of information, from obvious to very subtle, and viable ways to treat the condition. Self-diagnosing in almost every instance offers none of that, and is dangerous for a multitude of reasons. Like if you think you have one issue, but it's actually a totally different issue. Or perhaps you find you have one condition, but that condition is actually a symptom of a much larger underlying issue. Nope. Throw that shit out the window. We don't want doctors telling us something we don't want to hear. Like maybe we don't actually have the mental disorder we've centered our whole identity around. We need this mental condition. We need it. Listen, I don't particularly enjoy looking at holes like that either, especially when they're in something's flesh. It's disgusting and uncomfortable, and I'm sure plenty of other people are worse about it than I am. But the fact of the matter is, the world of psychology doesn't recognize trypophobia as an actual phobia. Sure, seeing those patterns can be chilling, disgusting, and make you feel uneasy or sick, but people with actual phobias usually go to such extreme lengths to avoid what they're afraid of that it can cause significant life changes that often far outweigh the risk imposed by the object or event itself. So why is everyone so convinced they have a legit mental condition that should be catered to by just about everyone on the internet ever? Well, having trypophobia has been pushed on internet users for quite some time. For instance, this article from BuzzFeed titled "Trypophobia is a real terrifying thing and you definitely have it" Thanks for that, BuzzFeed. I knew I could count on you to diagnose me with a legit phobia, because God knows tons of those nearly 4.2 million views on your article took your word as gospel, because BuzzFeed would never lie. There are plenty of other articles talking up trypophobia. Then you have tons of videos where people take the Trypophobia challenge, where YouTubers and other video creators are telling millions of people that trypophobia is so fear-worthy that there should be challenges based around it. And those millions of people watch and say to themselves, yeah, you know what? This is really pretty gross and freaky. I mean, look how this dude is reacting. I'm pretty grossed out too. I must also have trypophobia. Holy shit! Even PewDiePie did a video freaking out about trypophobia, claiming he also has it. 12.3 million views. I'm sure no one else self-diagnosed themselves after watching that video. No way, not a chance. Not a chance. So do you actually have a phobia of patterns of small holes? Do you break down into a pile of mush when you pass the Swiss cheese at the deli counter? Do you lose your shit when you pour pancake batter onto a pan and those bubbles pop and leave those strange patterns of holes? What about macaroni and cheese? Tons of weird gooey holes everywhere. People who claim to have trypophobia get so angry and distressed that when they see triggering pictures, they will unsubscribe from their favorite creators simply because they posted a gross-looking image. That's all it takes now. Another incredibly close friend of mine, Mikey from Glam and Gore, who runs a channel that is often highly focused on disturbing horror makeup and special effects looks, did a single look of a pirate where the eye under the pirate's eye patch was full of holes. This triggered numerous comments, with people demanding a trigger warning because they were having anxiety attacks and falling apart. Not only that, but Mikey did a very freaky clown look in the same video, and people who had a fear of clowns, yeah, they exploded over not having a trigger warning for that too. I mean, Mikey does horror looks, gruesome ones. You should understand that some of the shit may disturb you. It's kind of supposed to. That's kind of the point. These are the kinds of people that would deliberately go to a haunted attraction, and then after getting scared, they'd complain to the management that the actors inside the attraction didn't offer a trigger warning before jumping out. You know, whenever I come across a video on Facebook that contains animal abuse, because Facebook is a bastion for these types of videos, I immediately click out. Or I'll avert my eyes, turn off the monitor, whatever it takes. Seeing a dog get tossed off a roof to its death while it screams makes me feel fucking terrible, and for a while, it's all I can think about. I think that goes for most people. My heart rate escalates, my breathing changes, I may sweat and shake a bit. It triggers immense anxiety. But you know what? That's not a mental disorder. It's just the fact that I fucking saw something fucking disturbing. The mental disorder is if you aren't at all disturbed by that kind of a thing. Being repulsed by seeing a person's hand covered in holes isn't that strange either. It doesn't mean you have a fucking mental disorder or that you can go around telling everyone that you have a condition and blah 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 blah. Hate to break it to you, but there are real mental disorders out there, and they make people's lives sometimes impossible to live to the fullest. This reminds me a lot of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. People who genuinely suffer with OCD oftentimes can't even leave their house in an adequate amount of time because they need to keep checking if they lock the door. They can turn the knob and know it's locked, walk to their car, and have to walk back to make sure. This can happen sometimes dozens of times. But a few million people see a photo of a tile out of place on a floor, and suddenly they're self-diagnosed with OCD. This triggers my OCD so bad, oh my god, it's awful. This is similar to what we have here. Sure, some people actually do have a phobia over small patterns of holes, but that's only because people are capable of being afraid of anything. But these outlier phobias only impact an incredibly small amount of people, not the millions upon millions that claim to suffer from trypophobia, and demand trigger warnings on everything. And if we're going to apply the bullshit trigger warning logic to all phobias, then any video that contains spiders, snakes, heights, crowded spaces, dogs, and countless other things must also have a trigger warning. Because fear of shit like dogs is a real, genuine, actually recognized phobia that impacts people's lives. But with victim culture that we've talked about before, everyone wants access to the SSVU, the Super Special Victim Unit. Truth be told, pictures of patterned holes make you feel icky. The holes, especially in skin, are unnatural and can sometimes look like other diseases, and the patterns are rarely ever uniform and are therefore harder for the brain to process and make the brain have to work harder, which it doesn't want to do, which means you're not going to want to spend too much time looking anyway. It's just inherently not nice to look at. Those things, combined with the fact that you've been outright told that you have trypophobia by everyone except a fucking doctor, and the fact that you've seen tons of other people impacted by it in numerous viral videos or just in your daily life, makes for a wonderful STD-grade phobia that passes from person to person freely. And then once you have this condition that you don't actually have, you feel that you can dictate what everyone else does to make it so you don't have to feel icky. That means YouTubers now need to put up trigger warnings, or they need to just outright censor the content entirely, because you convinced yourself that you have a phobia, which again, you very more than likely don't actually have, because it doesn't actually exist the way you think it does, because it doesn't actually fit the criteria of a true phobia. Sorry. Congratulations, you fit into nearly 100% of people that are disgusted by disgusting things. Hell, my editor was grossed out that we were even covering this. Paul, do images of patterned holes disturb you?
Yeah, man, it's really gross!
Do you believe that you suffer from trypophobia?
No, that's really ridiculous.
What do you think, Michael?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty triggered!
Thank you, Paul. And there's plenty of other people like him and myself who understand it for what it is and aren't trying to milk it for a pass into the mental illness clubhouse. Now, what truly matters is how you handle it. Plenty of people terrified of spiders don't demand the takedown of a video that contains a story about spiders just because there wasn't a friggin' trigger warning at the beginning of the video. Maybe they just look away, they close out. But in 2017, no siree. Boycotting, complaining, unsubscribing, crying victim, demanding censorship, demanding apologies, and nocebo effects are all the rage. If you're unfamiliar with what a nocebo is, it's the opposite of a placebo. It's when someone experiences negative psychological or psychosomatic effects based on negative expectations. So where a placebo sugar pill may make you feel less depressed, a photo of a hand with holes in it may make you think you have a fucking mental disorder and begin demanding absurd trigger warnings for everything in your life, even though just about everyone else with legitimate phobias seems to do just fine without trigger warnings, and they just understand that sometimes they're going to encounter something that scares them, but they do their best to keep living their life without hindering the lives or work of other people. And bravo for them. You may also be wondering why I added my own trigger warning into the beginning of this video, because I wanted people to listen. What use is it if I'm alienating the very people I'm trying to reach, right? Just try to take a step back and self-reflect. I know it's tough. I know it is difficult to admit that you've been living in a way that's not your best. I get it. I've had to do it a number of times. You are not alone. Evaluate yourself. Do you really have a real mental condition here? Or maybe is it something else underlying? Maybe you have an anxiety disorder and it has nothing to do with holes as much as it does with the fact that you're just easily triggered by anything. Maybe because you hype yourself up into it. Maybe because you have fallen victim to your own condition and you've come to terms with being a victim for so long that you don't think there's any hope that you're gonna beat it. I don't know, but there is help out there, but you've got to start at a doctor. Anyway, holy shit, I'm done. If you agree with me, please hit this video with a thumbs up. I feel we're going to need it for the army of trypophobes that are coming. Also, check out Matt's video. It's linked in the description below. He's lost over 5,000 subscribers as of me filming this, simply because of the thumbnail to his video. That's it. Go show the little bastard some support. Just don't use that as an opportunity to harass anyone. Debate people with intellect. That'd be super special. You know, I've seen a lot of shit change in a relatively short time. It's sad that words like scary, disturbing, and gross are now being replaced with the word triggering. I think Halloween's gonna be triggering soon, don't you think? Thanks for watching. Now check out another one of my videos over here and press up here to enter into the patterned holes of my kingdom. That sounded fucked up. And comment on what you think below, and I'll see you next time.